dark came Noah's Ark. Amen. When lions roared came Daniel's Lord. Amen. Lord, help those who pray, and on Judgment Day.
What the? Who are you?
Hello there, Doll Schmick. I am your new companion, the sex robotic lover 9000.
My new what?
All it is just about sex robots. I don't care about the sex robots. They have nothing to do with the topic at hand. So stop talking about the sex robots, Sandman, unless you're gonna own up and send me one. That had better be the sex robot Sandman was supposed to send me 4 months ago.
Get out.
Wait. I was just joking. I'm actually A363MTR.
Who?
I'm a commentator within the CC. I was in a hiatus for making commentaries a few months ago, but then came back due to a horrifying 6 months.
If you're a commentator and you appear to my house, that can only mean one contrived thing is gonna happen.
Yep, co-op review on Poppy the Performer. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I want to get started on reviewing things too.
No. With that rude-ass entrance of yours, I'd like to assume you had something prepared already.
Wait, prepared that? Oh. You think that we could do a commentary together? My bad. I was thinking of something else. Yeah, we can definitely do a commentary together. There's this one reviewer that I found through some other sources.
A reviewer? That already spells trouble. Give me the deets.
BaseballSam1, though if you're wondering, I'm keeping this reviewer name a secret until later on within the video. Don't worry, it's GFC. Anyways, he's reviewing an episode of Johnny Test called Blame Bon Bon.
Okay, I suppose that's interesting enough.
Oh yeah, and just a heads up, we'll be skipping most of the intro, though this little gem is something that must be seen.
Johnny! When you're ready, are you ready?
Pleasure.
Fire in the hole!
Disrespect your surroundings.
I guess Ty Pennington is more of a Disney Channel fan.
Also, no thanks. I prefer my own edge, thank you very much.
The Nostalgia Teen Critic. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, I get for the fact that you like the Nostalgia Critic, but come on, for real here. Where's the originality on your end? Oh, is it the teen part?
In that case, I'm rebranding my channel name. My name is 836343323MTR. Do you approve, senpai?
Great. Now someone is actually stealing my actual IRL initials of my name.
You could always steal mine back, you know?
Wait, what was yours?
2868KKK.
Perfect!
Hey guys, NTC here, and as you can see, I'm definitely not in the best mood. Why? Well, I thought I actually was going to be reviewing something good, but instead, thanks to a very, very, very unfunny and very cruel prank by my dear beloved Mickey, I have got to review an episode from possibly one of the most hated Cartoon Network shows of all time. And keep in mind, folks, this was before Teen Titans Go. This was before all the original was so much better. Oh, Teen Titans Go can go suck it. Like, look, this was like the Teen Titans Go show before the Teen Titans Go show. And that show is Johnny Test. Airing from 2005 to 2011, this at the time was considered the worst of Cartoon Network. Not only was this show unoriginal as fuck, but it also had every single dated trope you could think of. Yeah, these are tropes that you thought had died in the 90s, but apparently, this show's got it all. It's got the troublemaking boy, the talking dog, the heartbreaking mom, the neat freak dad, and of course all the wacky adventures they go on while learning lessons along the way. Oh my god, screw this show.
I mean, not all tropes are bad? Like, sure, the show didn't do a good job with delivering some of these tropes, we can say that. But just saying that some of these tropes needs to die off is kinda iffy for me, as someone else can take a trope and twist it or use it in a way to where it actually not only helps the actual trope out, but the characters or even the story overall too.
For example, the trope of the kids going on wacky adventures and learning a lesson is just something to be expected from a kids show of this nature. Adventure Time, Fairly Odd Parents, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Falls, all of these shows that were more well-received employ this so-called trope. Even cartoons with a modern and realistic setting do this, like Rugrats and the most recent Cartoon Network show, Craig of the Creek. Johnny Test in particular does take inspiration from something like Dexter's Laboratory, which is a show that also employs this trope. So you aren't wrong that it's a trope, but as MTR said, tropes don't need to die off, especially if you're able to use one of these as an easy storytelling device. As for the neat freak dad and workaholic mom, that wasn't entirely their character gimmicks. Johnny's parents can be compared to the parents from Dexter's Laboratory, but the genders are reversed. The dad plays the role of the stay-at-home mom that does most of the punishing and discipline while doing housework, and the mother is the breadwinner of the household. Even if the gimmick was used before, I can't really figure out how many other times they've used this outside of Johnny Test.
And neither can I.
I mean, at least give Quack Pack from Disney some credit. That was also dated as well, but at least it had some likable characters. And of course, it also actually had a theme song that wasn't a ripoff. Here, I'll prove it to you. Okay, let's listen to a few seconds of Green Day's American Idiot.
Don't wanna be an American idiot. Don't want a nation to jog the new media.
Okay, alright. Now, let's listen to a few seconds of the Johnny Test theme.
Turbocharged backpack. The genius sisters use him like a lab rat.
You see? It's a complete ripoff! And keep in mind, folks, American Idiot, the song itself, came out in 2004, just a year before Johnny Test came onto TV. So I bet some Cartoon Network executive was just watching the music video for Green Day's American Idiot and was like, hey, that's a phenomenal song. Let's take that song. Let's make it into this new show that we're putting on called Johnny Test. Like, anybody here in a turbocharged backpack? And, oh, fuck off. Ugh.
Oh my god, we're doing this shit again, are we? Such and such song is a ripoff because they sound very similar. Now, I get it, you're not the first one to make this comparison. This appears to be an extremely common point that is made against Johnny Test's theme song. However, saying that it's a complete ripoff by just comparing the sound of the songs is not good enough to build a case, which is why I can't stand people using this argument in general. Just because something sounds similar doesn't make it a direct ripoff. It's very possible that a rhythm or song structure is just very common. With so many songs being made, that can happen. It's not impossible. Though I can do you one better, NTC. Sure, you're not wrong in saying that they sound very similar because they really do. That much is obvious. However, I'd like to point out that this isn't the original theme song to Johnny Test. This became the mainstay once Season 2 rolled around. Now, this may not seem important, so why do I say this? Well, take a listen to the original theme song for me.
Just another day in the life of a boy. Just another day in the life of a boy. Just another day in the life of a boy. Just another day in the life of a boy. Just another day in the life of a boy. Just another day in the life of a boy. And Johnny.
What do these theme songs and American Idiot have in common? They're pop punk. This genre was already consistent throughout these two theme songs. Think about the timeline. This was 2004. Pop punk was extremely popular through the 90s to the mid-2000s. Bands like Sum 41, Bowling for Soup, Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, and yes, even Green Day were very popular bands in this time period. Hell, I remember a Bionicle commercial playing All-American Rejects around the same time. The Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime's intro song, Get Your Game On, was not only pop punk, but heavily inspired by the Blink-182 song called Damn It. And I also think that All Grown Up's theme song was supposed to give off that vibe. My Dad is Rockstar also had its own pop punk inspired theme song. I think you get it though. This really wasn't unbecoming of an early to mid 2000s cartoon. They were clearly going for that same type of style with their theme song. It's not an outright ripoff so much as it's just the same genre.
Now, I'm not gonna go as far as to say that Johnny Test is like the worst show that Cartoon Network has ever made. And it's not the worst show I've ever seen. There are plenty of shows out there that are even worse than this.
Gonna stop you right here because of the wording that you've said in the first part. Now, I'm not gonna go as far as to say that Johnny Test is the worst show that Cartoon Network has ever made. Yeah, I can agree with you on that front, because Cartoon Network never made the show. All Cartoon Network did was to help air it, as its previous home, Kids WB, went off air in the mid-2000s. P.S. Funny how you never said that part, huh? Now if you want the actual production companies that made these shows, then take a look at Warner Brothers Animation, Season 1 only, Colossum Entertainment, Season 2 only, Cookie Jar Entertainment, Seasons 2 through 6, and finally DHX Media, Season 6 only. Yeah, take it up as a nitpick on my end. I'll even admit that it is a nitpick due to me criticizing on your wording. But it kind of bugs me that unless if we know that Cartoon Network actually produced a show, they're also just a channel that airs what other companies make. I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe do a bit of some research on your end so that you know as to who produced the show.
10 million points for Griffin Puff!
Now, something you'll notice very quickly is that the voice for Dookie is a lot different than you remember it. Well, that's because the original voice actor for Dookie, Louis Chirillo, actually left the show after 4 seasons. So in the final 2 seasons, he was replaced by Trevor Duvall, who you actually may know as Rocket Raccoon from the Guardians of the Galaxy TV show. And yeah, that's actually kind of cool. Now, I will say this. Trevor Duvall's voice for Dookie is not bad per se, it's not really the worst, but it's just so bland and not interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna go as far and say that Dookie was like one of the best characters in the show. Like, he was also kind of selfish sometimes, but he actually had more personality than the rest of the characters, and in my opinion, he's actually the only character I find tolerable. And that's mostly because of his personality. Like, and most of that personality actually does come from the voice, and Louis Chirillo owned that. But with Trevor Duvall's voice, it just kind of seems like most of the personality from Dookie is just kind of gone. I mean, think about it. Which Dookie do you think has more personality? This Dookie?
Okay, who flushes a taxi? Sit tight and hide in the castle if your dad arrives, and I'll go check on the girl's progress.
Or this Dookie?
Ahem. Let's see. We have video games at 11, reservations at the kitchen for grilled cheese at 12:30, and... oh, we've managed to squeeze in some bike riding this afternoon.
Yeah, I go with the original voice. Now, look, this doesn't impact the episode in any good or bad way. It's just something I wanted to bring up for some of the people that actually grew up with this show.
I will say this, while you're not entirely wrong per se that Dookie's new voice actor is nothing than the other voice actor, what I will say is that these examples that you've shown us here didn't really help with your overall argument. The 2 examples that you've showed us from the first original voice actor had an angry / more annoyed tone from the first example, and the other one being the frantic / a bit scared tone. The only one example that you've shown us from the other voice actor was him just being all happy. Part of me feels like as if it's him being a butler and not having Dookie freaking out or being angry at something. What I'm trying to say is to at least give another example of the second voice actor with the possible same tone, or at least make sure that the emotions that Dookie are having is the same.
Unfortunately, I was only a kid! Shut up! A stupid, dumb kid. What was I doing with my life then?
This is the comedy police. The joke's too funny.
I'm not going back to jail!
Actually, I have a different clip to address the terrible acting in this scene.
Oh, and what would that be?
Whose line is it anyways?
So much crap! Even the flies are going!
It's too much.
Alright. I approve, even though mine was better.
So while Johnny and Dookie are playing video games, the doorbell starts ringing. The sisters tell them that there's someone at the door. But since they're too lazy to open it, the sisters go to open it themselves. It's a Jehovah's Witness! Nah, I'm just kidding. It's just Eugene, aka Bling Bling Boy, aka Johnny's worst enemy. Now, how would I describe Bling Bling Boy here? Well, I say he's like a young Bruce Wayne, except with just a few minor differences. Like A, he has brown hair instead of black hair, B, he's got freckles, C, he has ugly buck teeth, D, his head kind of looks like the bottom of a dildo, or a potato, E, he's fat, F, he's a villain, G, he cares more about his bling than he does about helping others, and H, he's kind of a pedophile too, going after Johnny's sister Susan whenever he gets the chance.
No! 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 Stop that! Please! Don't! I'm having flashbacks!
Wait, what flashbacks?
Bogter theory. Okay, let me just go ahead and ask you something. You don't know what a pedophile is, huh? Like, if you want me to hold your hand, then allow me. A pedophile, ladies and gentlemen, is a grown adult who finds kids sexually arousing. And for the extremely dumb people out there, an adult is a person who's not a teenager. Some people argue that it's 18, others say that's 21, whatever it is, it's not 17 and younger. For the sake of the overall argument, we're gonna say that it's 18 and over. Now, doll, please tell me, what are the ages of both Susan and Mary Test?
13.
Alright, good. Now, what is the age of Bling Bling Boy?
12.
Oof, that's gotta hurt. So now we have two things wrong with that statement. One, Bling Bling Boy is not even a teenager, and yet you've still called him a pedophile. And two, and being the most important part here, he's younger than Susan. Like, how did you even mix up a pedophile and someone who has a huge crush on someone around their age?
10 million points for Griffin Puff!
So for 1 week, Eugene's gotta live like a normal kid, which is something that he definitely doesn't like. Now, here's the thing. This scene right here where Eugene's explaining the situation is actually where one of the big problems with this episode, surfaces. Now, okay, look, calling it a big problem is kind of a stretch. It's not a major one, but it's a problem that's not only in this episode, but it's in a lot of other Johnny Test episodes. Like, it's one of the main issues we have with the show, and that is the sound effects. Like, they constantly play it over and over and over again. I mean, when I was explaining the situation to you guys with the badger robot shit, I didn't have the sound effects playing in the background. Like, I didn't have to have any sort of music bomb that just comes out of nowhere, like, no, I didn't need that. But apparently the episode needs it. It's like a crutch. Now look, lots of cartoons have used sound effects for slapstick moments and so on. But for this show, they use it in every single scene, even when it's not needed.
Am I the only one who feels like as if the beginning portion of this point here of him explaining what the scene was is kind of pointless considering the fact that it took too much time for him to then explain about how the sound effects are off? Like, I'm sorry for going on yet another production rant on your end, but what you could have done was to play that scene, and then once the scene was done, then you can explain as towards why the sound effects are iffy. The way that you've explained the scene pretty much dragged the video a bit, which is actually somewhat of a recurring issue. The drag.
Structure is everything, especially when doing a review, especially since you say the same thing before and after you show the clip.
You see, it gets pretty annoying pretty fast. Now look, you can still hear what the characters are saying, but the sound effects that are coming in over and over and over again really take you out of the mood.
Guys like Nostalgia Critic, Bruce Snoop, and even Rebel Taxi handle stuff like this fairly well. While yes, they are scripted for the most part, it's a lot easier to develop and structure an actual point when you're able to plan what you say in advance. Then you avoid the issue of accidentally making a 32-minute long video when it didn't need to be this long. Good God, I'm having pixelitis Jess flashbacks. MTR, this commentary is giving us both Vietnam flashbacks. Why the hell did you drag me into this?
Because I ain't going into war alone, soldier.
10 million points for Griffin Puff!
So Johnny at first doesn't want to play with Eugene, but after Eugene promises that if he does play with him, he'll leave Susan alone for a month, the sisters bring him back into the house and... Okay, I know what you're thinking right now. Why are they invisible? Well, when they saw Eugene through the peephole, they decided to use their latest invention on themselves. It's some sort of spray can that can actually turn them invisible. Yeah, I mean it, like completely invisible. Huh. Gee. I haven't seen that before. So the sisters forced Johnny and Dookie to play with Eugene by bribing them with something called sister dollars. Gee, haven't seen that before.
I mean, I can see the comparison with the invisibility spray, but the fake currency doesn't really play out the same way in SpongeBob. It was used by Mr. Krabs to give SpongeBob fake money to make up for the fact that he can't actually pay him with real currency, and it was a one-off joke to mock how cheap the character is, while sister dollars are mostly just a bribery tactic.
Which brings up the next point, which I also have a feeling that this is yet another recurring thing. Dude, unless if you have proof of it happening, not everything will be a rip-off of something. And even if you do argue that it is, then you also need to ask yourself if whether or not if they've done something differently. The fact that you're bringing up SpongeBob of all things makes me think that you're kinda stretching for a point, really.
I get you didn't actually call it a rip-off, though the implication in your wording does allude to a comment of this nature, but a similar concept is not an outright rip-off.
10 million points for Griffin Puff!
Again, this isn't like a major problem, it's just something that really bugs me. So they play with Eugene again. This scene is mostly pointless. The only differences are, 1, he labels everything that Johnny has as broken, and 2, for some strange reason, he incinerates every single thing that Johnny has with this little weapon of his. And I mean, he incinerates everything. He incinerates his TV, he incinerates his sandwich, and he even nonchalantly incinerates his bike.
Oh, hi there, I'm back to give you a wording error point. Yeah, Bling Bling Boy never destroyed the TV. In fact, their footage even went against this. All he did was incinerate one of Johnny's controllers within that scene. Like, maybe next time when you're editing this, listen to the wording that you've stated so that you can catch yourself next time. P.S. Apparently he said they incinerated the TV again at a later point within the video, so part of me thinks that this isn't a huge nitpick, come to think of it.
10 million points for Griffin Puff!
Okay, so yeah, it's been a horrible week for Johnny. But hey, here's the good news. It has been a week, so that means he's no longer going to be grounded. He'll actually get his riches back. So Johnny and Dookie, now realizing this thing, oh hey, he probably might not come back again. But much to their dismay, he comes back again. Dude, you don't have to play with him anymore. You've got your riches back. And besides, you've been a horrible playmate, so why in the living hell would Johnny want to play with you after what you put him through? Ugh.
Well, Bling Bling Boy progressively came back because he needed to cure his boredom, and through his warped sense of bonding and friendship, he used Johnny as a surrogate butler servant in that time span. Kissing his ass probably made Bling Bling Boy more inclined to return. Hell, the fact that he returned after he was ungrounded would prove that he wants to hang out, though again through his warped perspective on his newfound friendship with Johnny. It's pretty obvious why he would want to come back and hang out. Hell, as we move through the episode, Bling Bling Boy saves Johnny from being grounded just so that the two can go to his house and not be limited by his grounding. Regardless if we touch on this later, why ask the question if it gets answered in the show?
So at this point, Johnny wants him to go away. So he tries to come up with an idea on how to make sure that he actually can't play with him anymore. So he tries to get grounded by stopping on his dad's meatloaf. That way, he'll be forced to not play with Bling Bling anymore. Okay, that's not a bad idea, but wouldn't it be better if he just gave it to Eugene straight? And hey, if you get grounded by your dad, then you won't be able to play video games with Dookie for a while. So getting grounded would be kind of pointless. So why not just go and talk to Eugene and just tell him the truth? I mean, it's not that hard. Just open the door, look him straight in the face, and say...
Hey, look, Eugene, I understand you want to play with me, and I get it. You value friends more than money now. But, look, you've got your stuff back. You don't need to spend any money. You can just play the video games you said you were accustomed to. You can eat the food you said you were accustomed to. You don't need to come over to my house every single day. And also, I'm just gonna say, you were the worst playmate I've ever had. You hate the activities we did together. You complain way too much. And on top of that, I had to push you on your bike because you were too lazy to do it yourself, and also, you incinerated my TV, my bike, and also my sandwich. So, no offense, dude, but piss off!
Okay, maybe that was a little harsh, but... Again, it's better than getting grounded.
I honestly think that you could have done that a whole lot better than what you've worded it as. Like, Bling Bling Boy is considered to be a villain of the show in some of the episodes. If Johnny were to say something like that when Bling Bling Boy was just bonding with Johnny, the Bling Bling Boy would go back to being the big rival to Johnny, thus not only negating towards the ending of the episode, but with how Susan and Mary Test are trying to get Johnny to play with Bling Bling Boy. Maybe instead of what you've said, just lighten up a bit towards how he should have approached it and say something like how he needs to pick different activities, or at least lighten up on Johnny, or anything else that wasn't really mean-spirited. Yeah, you've said that it was a little harsh, but you've also still need to understand the consequences if Johnny were to say, "Piss off, you fucking bitch, I have my dogs to play with."
But instead, he decides to get himself grounded, and it works. So he goes back outside and tells Eugene the bad news.
I'm grounded. Man. My condolences, for I too know the bitter punishment that is grounding. Stay strong, Jonathan. I'll see you on the other side.
Huh. Wow, that was remarkably easy. And he actually took it better than I expected. I was actually thinking that he was going to do some crazy shit, like maybe kidnap him or something like that. So
dude, I bet you $10 say he's going to regret what he says.
Why is that?
Because it's actually going to happen later on.
Yeah, because that's not totally nostalgia critic levels of predictable. You're about to eat my shit!
I get it. He was desperate. He needed friends. And yeah, he was annoying, but he just wanted a friend, I guess. So, you know what? I'm going to take back all I said about Eugene. Maybe Eugene's not really a really horrible asshole at all. Maybe he's just a...
Who knew being grounded could be so...
a horrible asshole!
Oh yeah! I won the bet! Now pay up, you plebeian! Ow.
Wait a minute, you mean to tell me that the scene that NTC was building up was the opposite of what actually happened so that he could make a cliche Channel Awesome joke? If Mavi didn't take my stalking binoculars, I might have been able to see this coming from a mile away. Alright, so one thing you might have noticed is that NTC's video clips are pretty long, and you've started to know the reason why. He kind of rambles and just goes on and on and on. He's very unscripted, and that much is obvious. And that was a little harder for me to edit and go through, as you can see, because a lot of the clips just kind of go on, and it's not always easy to throw them in. But this next clip is one thing I really wanted to discuss, but editing it the normal way we wrote it in the script was not easy. It's a continuation of this last clip that we played, but essentially what happens is this, I think, like 2.5, 3 minute long clip where he goes on a rampage. And it starts with this build-up right here.
What the fucking hell, dude? You kidnapped them with a fucking robot! After all I said, like, I was actually gonna take this stuff back. No, you know what? I'm not taking it back. You are awful! Just, seriously? Are you that desperate for a playmate? Really? Are you serious?
And then follows into this.
Okay, here it comes. Yeah, I've lost my mind.
I get that this is just a staple trope with damn near every angry YouTube reviewer, and to your credit, it's not any funnier when they do it either, but at least it's executed just a little bit better. Take, for instance, the Nostalgia Critic's opening skit for his review of Food Fight. There's dramatic music, followed by him violently assaulting packages of food to emphasize the rage he felt by Food Fight. The camera was violently shaking to fit with the angry tirade. There was a lot more emotion in his performance. Now, I still don't find him funny, but at least he knows how to handle these scenes and is able to make them much shorter than this, so it doesn't make me want to stop watching the video. Holy shit, I just figured out why this video is 32 minutes long!
Well, I mean, there was also that ending skit that he made at the end, which is about like 4 to 5 minutes long, so at least we don't have to watch everything?
True, but that's still an issue regardless. In fact, it's the single biggest issue with this video. Videos like this don't need to be this long.
Actually, now that I come to think of it, this is probably the biggest thing with all of your reviews. They really could have been condensed a lot throughout your videos. Taking a look through all of the lengths of your videos, I want to say that they're varying in length, like at around 10 to 20 minutes with the occasional 30, 40, or even a 50-minute review. Yes, I'm counting your top 10 worst TTG episodes as one of them, when in reality, at the very best, it could have been underneath 20 minutes. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm somewhat guilty of this too with longer video lengths, I'm not gonna deny that. But the difference with you and me is that I'm taking that thing, actually play the thing, and then interject where I need to be. You, on the other hand, is just recapping what happened and then maybe give your overall thoughts on the matter. It could be a lot shorter if you don't necessarily have to bring in every single detail or drag a segment on and on.
Sorry about that. I just completely lost my mind. Again, I didn't think that would ever happen to me again.
Well, geez, welcome to the club. I've been going insane ever since May the 7th, 2015.
Really? Well, what made you go insane?
Commentaries.
Why did I even ask? That's always the answer.
We're gonna end it here simply because we don't really have anything else to say. What he does within the next 10 minutes is state something that we all agree on, calls Bling Bling Boy a pedo again, makes some final thoughts about the episode, and then adds in 2 skits involving another version of himself of some sort, and being a dead Shia LaBeouf because the meme is dead. We'll be adding in our final thoughts of our own, and since I'm a guest here, I'll go first.
Fuck you, this is my channel and I get to say what needs to be done. So I'll be going first instead, thank you very much. If I'm being perfectly honest, this video wasn't really awful. There were plenty of times where I agreed with some of your points. You seem very chill and respectful, and I do think you're a solid presenter when you're not regurgitating the typical angry reviewer style jokes and reactions, specifically channel awesome content creators. When these jokes go on for too long or aren't incorporated as smoothly as the original source, then it becomes very tedious and uncomfortable to listen to. I can't say I'm too fond of these videos just being as long as they are, but that mostly comes down to how long you'll let the gag go on, or just how repetitive some parts of the video were. I was not too pleased with any instance of you calling something a ripoff or a dead trope with next to no explanation or expansion on why that's the case, and the only time it was expanded upon was a very questionable and baseless case. By far, you're one of the better cartoon reviewers I've seen. You just have some kinks that need to be fixed. Alright, temporary whipping bitch, you're free to go.
Wow. Freaking rude ass bitch. Okay, so let me just state that you're not really the worst reviewer that I've come across when it comes towards reviewing an animation of some sorts. I mean, I'm hoping that with you being a nice person and respecting our criticisms as such can also be a boost too. With how you review things, I'd say that you're not really the worst. I mean, you're not as worse as the username that shall not be named. See these following commentaries as towards the username in question. And if anything, I have seen your previous content beforehand, so seeing you actually getting the episodes online and putting them straight onto the editing software instead of recording on your phone is really refreshing to me. Not only that, but we've skipped a lot simply because of how we actually agree with your points on the matter. Heck, at one point during the scripting part of the video, Doll here did state that you did maintain his attention at certain times during the video. So we can definitely say to you that you're not the worst nor even that bad of a reviewer at the moment. Unfortunately, you still do have a lot to go before becoming a good one at that. For starters, I recommend shortening the time of your reviews to be less than 20 minutes if you can. That way, it's short to the point, but you'll still say a lot of what's going on in your mind without the whole skits thingy. Secondly, work on making sure that your wording makes sense, as not only at one point did your footage went against towards what you've said, but you've also accused Bling Bling Boy a pedo, and that's... I know for the fact that you don't know this person, but just be glad that Ponder's not doing the commentary for us. Maybe do some short research to understand the show a bit more, maybe work on your acting too, and then I can maybe see myself subscribing to you for working on your improvements. Oh, and an off-topic thing, and it doesn't really hurt the video, but I just wanted to talk about it. I'm honestly kind of surprised with the fact that you haven't talked about how Johnny Stad never chased Bling Bling Boy down to the fact that Johnny's grounded.
Well, that seems to be it then. So, MTR, when's your first review gonna be coming out?
Jeez, Mr. Whitey Pants. I'll get on to it depending on whether or not if I do get a comment out on my channel already or not.
Excuses, excuses. You just came back and you're already slacking off.
What, you want to add my stuff instead, or nah? I don't have the money to pay you, by the way.
Fuck off.